as Kirby Smart gets ready for his 4th season as a head man in the Classic City. He's got plenty of talent to work with. Jake Fromm returns at quarterback, one of the best in the nation last year, and he's got protection up front with an All-American at tackle, Andrew Thomas. Speed on the outside and a playmaker in DeAndre Swift, but it's not all offense for this Georgia team. Returners on the defensive side include veteran J.R. Reed. It's a Georgia team and a program with great expectations. They fell just short last year after a remarkable start. 6-0 to start the season. They were thinking national title, but upended in a disastrous loss to LSU. They would rebound to win their next 5, make it back to Atlanta, but then a loss in the championship game to Alabama and a loss to Texas to close the season. With that, we set the stage for the spring game. Tom Hart, Matt Stinchcomb, and Greg McElroy. Change doesn't come around here very often, but Mel Tucker, the former defensive coordinator, off to Colorado as a head coach. Jim Chaney back at Tennessee, so 2 new coordinators for Kirby Smart.
And as you mentioned, only in year 4. We've seen other programs endure this level of transition at the coordinator level, and what Georgia elected to do was to promote from within. James Coley, who managed the offense, actually coordinated their 3rd down strategy a season ago, will now take over the full-blown operations offensively. And then Dan Lanning, who is a guy that was a position coach a season ago, but was able to collaborate a great deal with the defensive strategy, something that he appreciated from Kirby Smart, something that is fostered here at Georgia. They allow input from a variety of different places, so you have 2 guys from the staff that are now promoted to the coordinator spot.
So plenty to look for in this spring game today, including playmakers. Greg McElroy, who you got your eye on?
I'm going to be watching this guy very closely, Matt Landers. Now, this receiving core, somewhat depleted. They lost 4 of their top 5 pass catchers from a year ago, but Matt Landers is a guy whose name has come up time and time again from Kirby Smart and some of the players throughout the course of this spring. They describe him as Randy Moss. He just doesn't know it yet. Looking forward to see what the sophomore has for us today in the spring game.
Cash Money Holmes, and for more on this game, let's find out what Kirby Smart is thinking. He's standing by with our very own Maria Taylor.
All right, Coach, the team is slowly making their way out onto the field. The fans brave the weather to be here today, and your team wears the Do More shirts. What do you want to see more of in the spring game here today?
I want to see energy and enthusiasm. This is our last chance to kind of set a standard on this spring practice. I'm excited for the fans that came out. We're going to give them a good show.
All right, now everyone wants to know about playmakers, and we're talking about wide receivers because there's some new faces and names that have to produce this season. What are the expectations you have for that position group?
I want them to make some plays today. We're going to put it in the air, see if Matt Landers, JJ, and those guys can go get it.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
It's a great tradition here in Athens, a tradition that dates back to the 1941 team that was led by Frank Sinkwich, and expectations that include adjustments to get this team to its first national title since 1980. Ready to go after a rainy and chilly morning. The sun trying to break through here in the Classic City. And a pump fake to start. Ball came off the tee, so we will re-tee it.
Able to get a nice shot of those shoes. Look at that.
Yeah, Brooks Buse showing off the fashion.
It's an aggressive choice.
Shoe game to match Greg McElroy. Kearis Jackson will bring it back for Georgia for the red team. And they'll whistle him down. Stopped by the very versatile Walter Grant. We'll talk about him a lot today. But first, we start with the red team offense. This is the first string offense led by Jake Fromm as he enters his junior season at the helm. Fromm, 6'2", 220, completed 67% of his passes last year. To me, it's not about the numbers, it's about his leadership.
His intangibles are off the charts. And
you see Dan Lanning, the new defensive coordinator. We touched on him off the top. And the havoc rate, he already mentioned, it's not necessarily that they're going to bring pressure. It's pass breakups, playing the ball tightly, just like what Tyson Campbell was able to do to break up the previous attempt.
4-man rush. Fromm looking for the slant, and that one is taken away by Eric Stokes. And what a start, a pick 6. And the black team jumps out in front.
And the DC is jacked. We asked Kirby Smart yesterday, are you going to have some weirdo scoring system where if the defense sets up a 2nd and long, do they get points? He said, no, we're not doing that. And Dan Lanning, we said, look, man, they want to score points tomorrow. I guess you're going to have to lay down. He was like, I didn't get the memo. And clearly, neither did Stokes.
There was no foul on the play.
We talk about havoc.
It is a touchdown.
So what's havoc? It's tackles for loss. It's pass breakups. It's takeaways. You've seen it already early in this game. And we talked about Jake Fromm. He's going to protect this football, fight for the ball right here. Stokes just wanted it more. He's up stealing that sucker and take it to the house. That's the way the defense scores in this game.
We've got a full slate of officials, too. We've got a second group led by our crew here at ESPN. Todd Blackledge, Dusty Dvorak, Sean McDonough's the back judge, Molly McGrath, and Marty Smith. And we promise to never rip on officials. We will break that promise today.
I just want to see, when we see like a reenactment of the last time we had celeb officials here where McElroy and Brock Heward were locked in a mortal battle. Who could throw the most flags? The furthest.
Fromm has it tipped coming out of his hands.
Now you've got an early enrollee and a guy like Nolan Smith. Highly touted recruit. Came up a lot in our conversations with the coaches. A guy that can bend the edge. But it was his work ethic that stood out the most. That's promising.
Fromm has the completion. Karis Jackson is able to take it into black territory for the first down.
And as far as Nolan Smith, if this were a real Saturday, we'd be watching Nolan Smith against Andrew Thomas every single snap. Because on third down and long, obvious passing situations, that's where Nolan Smith, at this point in his career, that's where he can make a difference immediately.
With the veteran backfield, they might be able to do that better.
Fromm completes another one. This is Tyler Simmons. Dan Lanning is not short in the vocal category or the energy column.
No, he can check both of those boxes. You know, we asked him, the players yesterday, J.R. Reed, what's the biggest difference? He didn't talk scheme. He just said energy level. Coach Lanning's fired up.
I mean, we talked to him 10 minutes. I wanted to run through a wall. I mean,
I wanted you to run through a wall.
I would not have fared well. But he was. I mean, he is fiery. And, of course, it's going to be, like you alluded to, Stinch, it's going to be a collective effort. And he'll call it on game day, but he's going to be able to lean on Glenn Schumann, who is also a big part of what they're doing defensively. Of course, Kirby Smart, with the defensive background, be huge on game day, making sure that Dan Lanning's comfortable going throughout the season. So this defense, expect them to increase the pressure, to blitz a little more, and to make life difficult on opposing quarterbacks. That's kind of the changes and adjustments I'm anticipating from seeing them throughout the course of spring and probably throughout the course of summer.
It might be tough to see in the spring game. Both sides, as you would expect, would be fairly vanilla, although sometimes those rules are broken, especially when you see the second string offense on the field. Fromm putting it together here on this drive, and he finds Harrion, who's able to pick up another first down. Tyson Campbell with the stop, and Justin Young brought pressure.
I've been a lot less critical of officials since I went through this procedure.
Fromm back in zone. Molly McGrath, what do you got? Incomplete. There you go. Jeremiah Holloman, the intended receiver.
Good throw, good effort, and a good call by Molly.
Very decisive, too. She didn't hesitate.
Nope.
She knew almost immediately. And this is a play that you've seen a lot. Jeremiah Holloman, a guy that can high point the ball. Great job by Stokes getting his hands between those of the receivers and breaking up that pass. And, of course, Molly all over the call.
17 yards per catch last season for Holloman. Fromm has completed 3 out of 4 since his 0 for 4 start that included a pick. On third down. Jermaine Johnson got into the backfield. And they'll bring on Rodrigo Blankenship, maybe the most popular Georgia Bulldog in the last 3 years, to attempt the field goal.
Maybe some miscommunication clearly on that one, but it sets up Rodrigo with an opportunity. You got to respect the specs.
Molly racing in position under the upright.
Now she can signal if we make this kick here. Check the technique. Excellent.
I haven't been this excited since watching Australian rules football back in the late 80s. I was hoping she'd break out the guns. 3:26 to go in the first quarter. Black on top of red early. Stetson Bennett is the starting quarterback for the black team. The mailman is back home, the prodigal son. In some ways, he transferred off and then returned when they had a need for him. Sophomore to black shirt, Georgia goes 5'11", 190. Spring games are good for a lot of things, not the least of which is let's get a good look at who might be number 2 at the quarterback position. And a handoff to James Cook. And so we'll see Stetson Bennett and then Dwan Mathis at quarterback for this team a little bit later.
And now the question is, who's your backup quarterback and who is pushing your starter and Jake Fromm? I don't think it's necessary, but there's no doubt that there's a different dynamic in that quarterback room because of the question mark at the number 2 QB spot.
Bennett lets it go over the middle and completes it to Trey Blount. And the black team across midfield.
That was a nice throw from Stetson Bennett. Started left, didn't like anything, worked himself up in the pocket, reset his feet, throws a strike.
And a 25 to the junior from Atlanta's Pace Academy. Stetson Bennett did some damage in bull practices, as you see the quarterback depth chart. According to the guys we talked to yesterday, he went 28 for 29 against the first-team defense. J.R. Reed was telling us that guy absolutely carved us up getting ready for the bowl. That can't do much for your ego.
Yeah, that's a tough situation when you're in the spot and you have to go against that defense, and he carves them up like that. And he said, look, I love Stetson. He said it pretty flat out. I mean, this quarterback battle for the number 2 spot is a tough one right now. It's going to be challenging for both these guys, but Stetson Bennett will certainly impress some of his teammates.
He impressed his head coach as Cook carries that time.
And, of course, it was a very crowded backfield, especially when DeAndre Swift came back and was healthy.
Bennett going deep and through the hands of Matt Landers. He's a guy we talked about earlier. Landers from Florida, 6'5", 200. He's got breakaway speed. He's got great hands. They're just looking for more consistency from him in practices.
Yeah, and reaching his potential on a more consistent basis, because this guy, just based on potential alone, might be the most talented guy on the team. I mean, he's that type of player. But right here, 6'5", physical situation on a vertical throw, you got to make that play. I mean, you have to. And those are the plays that he's going to eventually start making look routine. He just hasn't always happened for him just yet.
Another deep ball, and we got a flag. It came in late. It came in from a real referee, it looked like. Willie Erdman, the intended receiver.
I think, is that McDonough?
It's McDonough.
I think McDonough's all over it.
Pass interference. Did a really bad job. Which guy did it? Because I was so worried about.
You didn't get a number?
I think it was number 8.
Number 8?
8 or 29. Kind of whiffed on it. Definitely pass interference.
I don't think Sean just got back from the Boston Marathon. He's already winded.
We got the
Pass
flag out of his
interference.
pocket.
Number 8 on the defense. 15-yard penalty for the previous spot. Automatic first down.
I love that Steve Shaw had to go meet Sean like way down there. He had to run 40 yards.
Well, did you see how far he threw that flag?
He did.
That's playing attack fasciitis. I mean, it'll run for 6 months. Have a little sympathy. You announcers are tough on the officials.
I think it was good.
Thank you.
Sorry, we didn't get an injury report for the officials today.
Like my MC Hammer balloon pants. I got to put my flag back in. That was a good call, though.
That was a great call.
Great call.
All over it.
Did you warm up your arm before the game?
I
It was
sure
a nice
did.
toss.
I'm trying to concentrate.
That's it. All right, you've been in a lot of positions from a broadcast perspective. How's the view down there?
It's great view. I got Grandis Bell here. 4 New Year's, 6 days in a row, bowl games in a row, trying to help me. What'd you say, Grandis?
You don't have to move at all. When you
I don't
back
have to move.
on the inline,
I
you
can't
let the
fake
play
hustle a
happen.
little bit.
When the play's over, then you can move in a little bit.
Can you tell the back judges are the best shape? I mean, of all the Grandis here, you wouldn't believe Grandis is almost my age, man. This guy's ripped. That was a pretty good quarter.
You got 3 more of them.
This guy's a great teacher.
He's got a lot of teaching to do and a willing student. We're back with more from the Georgia Spring Game, second quarter right around the corner. 7-3, black in front of the red, Georgia Spring Game, and with it, some great players of the past hanging out. Down with Maria Taylor, Sony Michelle, and Nick Chubb.
Yeah, beyond great players from the past, led Georgia to SEC championships, playing in the national championship game, and now you guys are pros. So what has the first season been like in the NFL for each of you? And we all know you won a Super Bowl, so you can just start there. So
it was amazing. It was just a learning experience, new environment. I had to adapt to a lot of things, but to top it off with a Super Bowl, there's no better amazing feeling.
What changed for you, and how were you able to turn it on during the postseason? I think you had like 336 yards during that Super Bowl run.
Man, it was just the focus of the team, I would say. Everybody was kind of on the same page, and we wanted just to achieve the same goal.
Meanwhile, Nick, you're on like one of the most talked about off-season teams ever, the Cleveland Browns. What's it been like to be in the middle of all the conversation around the NFL?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of hype behind the Browns, and we got a lot of new additions to the team, and everyone's excited about it. I'm excited too, just to get back there and see what we got, see if we can go win.
How much time have you spent around the new guys, and even spending time with Mayfield and OBJ?
I've been out there for about 3 weeks now, hanging out, getting adjusted, making some new changes, and just hanging out with the guys, and it's been good.
Let's talk about the feeling that you have now, just coming back into Sanford Stadium and being a part of a moment like this. I mean, you guys had some really high highs. What are the moments you'll never forget for being a Bulldog?
It's always great to come back. We were talking about it earlier, man. It's nothing like NFL, just the atmosphere in the stadium. It's always great to come back here. It's a different feeling. It's very unique to us.
I mean, it's no better feeling than coming between the hedges. It's like home. All the great fans in college football is here, and you can kind of still feel that energy.
Yeah, and I can still feel that you guys are best friends because you don't do anything without each other. Every time I see one, I see thing two. Back up to the booth, guys.
All right, thanks, Brad. You know what I love about that whole interview is when you say, this is home. Because that's what it's about for former players, to be welcomed back and to feel like you're coming back home. Kind of like walking through the gates with Matt Stinchcomb today.
Right. Sure. It's exactly like walking with Sony and Nick. So many of my jerseys. These guys, the fact, though, that they come back, because let's be real, the weather ain't great out here today. There's a ton of fans that showed up, but when former players stay plugged into their respective programs, I think it speaks to a number of things. One is their experience as student athletes at that respective school. The other is, I think, the investment that they felt that they've made and the mutual admiration, I think, from the program standpoint and from the players' standpoint. The fact that the most prolific rushing duo in college football history is on the sidelines means something, and it's more than just the fact that they were great football players.
Here's Jackson from a couple of yards deep.
We got 11.
We can be successful if none of our officials get hurt today. Fromm on the play action to the slant, and that's batted away. Maria's standing by with the head man.
They're just going to let him drape him, Coach. You want to get on the official?
Hey, look at this. We got one from the back judge. Who is that back there?
That's Molly.
Oh, wow. Is that her spot to see that? How about that? About to find out.
Well, number 3.
Number 3 black.
Paul, I think.
Back here.
She knows what she's doing. I hope that field judge didn't have to tell her. We might have to review the review. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She got it.
Pass interference. Number 3 on the defense.
Okay, what were you looking for?
That penalty will be enforced at the spot of the foul.
Action. A lot of people think it's an RPO, but it's actually not. It's just hard play action. A lot of guys suck up on it.
No, right there.
We run the ball well out of that formation, so you always want to have a good play action that you can run from your best running formation. So that's what it was. Looks like defense is coming after him. Let's see if Fromm's as good as he is with pressure on him. Good pickups. Throw catch. Did he get the first? I think he got it for the extra effort. Good decision by Fromm there. Got a slot guy with leverage on him, makes a first down, big conversion. Reed's going to come down. He's going to try to disguise it. Yeah, I think Fromm's going to take a shot outside to one of these wideouts. Could be Tyler Simmons time, boys. It is. Over route. Oh! Great play there by the star. Undercut the over route right there.
Okay, what do we think about the throw?
Looked like it was a little bit behind him there. I don't know if he stair-stepped it and got the guy open or not. It was really good coverage by the slot. Great play fake. Got the backers up. Oh, the receiver may have been climbing too much and allowed the undercut there. A lot of times we want to be able to stem that. And then we're going to play split safety coverage on defense. Okay, so we got a drive route, steeps outside. Should be great. Should be a great matchup here on this call. Defense playing pass, offense passing the ball. 3rd and 10. We're getting a pass rush. Good route by Tyler Simmons. That's a great route by Tyler. He's doubled over there. He pushed off the corner, made a good play. So you can handle it. I'm excited to see the quarterback get in next drive. Should be DeJuan Mathis up too. Oh, this is going to be good. So we got to see a Fromm. He's got a run-pass option here. You can see the box. Should be a throw if we got a 5-6-man box. Oh, run the draw. Split him. This might be 6. Then call it home. Oh, big play there. Good decision. God, defensive end ran upfield. So I think one of those officials might have missed a hold right there. Let's see if we can see it on the replay.
Okay. Are you going to go over and get the official if they missed it?
See this replay. Look at 87 on the corner.
Okay.
Right there. No. And when you hold your hands up, you're usually guilty.
But he pulled it back fast.
Tyson Campbell may get picked.
Okay.
We're going to get some great rush in these 2 edge rushes. Free release. Pull it back. One-on-one. Real read.
This one.
Tackle. Touchdown. Got him.
Who called it, Coach?
You did. Hey, you've been learning from the best up there, right?
I've been learning from you. The best is down here. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Well, there you guys have it. An entire progression with Kirby Smart.
I want Maria picking my lotto numbers.
Yeah, that's right. She was all over.
We're going to have to call her Maria Romo after that. I mean, predicting plays. I like it. Well done.
Got a tie game. 10 apiece. It was a 10-play, 70-yard drive engineered by Jake Fromm. Facing pressure, he finds Brian Herrion, and the senior takes it the rest of the way. 6.5 before the half. We're all tied up. And we've got a new quarterback in the game. One of the things you can learn in a spring game, Greg, is who is ahead of who when it comes to the second-string quarterback, because we know Jake Fromm will be there as a starter.
Yeah, for the first time, Jake Fromm's not looking over his shoulder. That's for sure, because when you look at these backup quarterbacks, there's a pretty wide gap between the junior and what DeJuan Mathis is doing right now. And Stetson Bennett got off to a pretty nice start as well, but we're seeing DeJuan Mathis now for the first time. Freshman from Michigan. Very raw, but a lot of ability. Strong arm. Pretty accurate and can move around when necessary. So he's a guy with a really high ceiling. He's having a little bit of a tough time learning and understanding the metrics of what is a pro-style offense, and that'll take some time for any freshman.
It's a bit of a quarterback carousel before signing day between Georgia and Ohio State. Mathis was originally headed to Columbus, but ends up coming to Athens, and he's in competition with Stetson Bennett for the second-string quarterback position.
And it might not be just those two. They might go and find a guy, who knows, here in the next couple weeks in the grad transfer market, potentially. A lot of movement with quarterbacks happen after the spring. Joe Burrow, probably the most notable from a year ago, who transferred from Ohio State to LSU in May. So a lot of movement that can still happen at that position, but each one of these two backup quarterback potential candidates trying to put their best foot forward here to end the spring.
Number 2 offense, number 2 defense right now, and another completion. Trey Blunt with the catch, and that'll be good for a first down for the black team. KJ McCoy has opened some eyes. Guys getting a glimpse of what this guy can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often you go to Athens, Georgia, and you're talking to a bunch of players, and like, all right, who's someone that we should talk about that we're not really aware of at this point? They say KJ McCoy, a walk-on running back. Wait, hang on. 5-star running backs. And you're going to tell us about a walk-on? But they say he's been really productive. A guy that made the team and has flashed some potential. Wouldn't be shocked to see him find a role. Maybe not within the offense, but at some point in the fall, he'll be on the field.
Mathis lets it go deep into coverage, and off the hands of Matt Landers, a very promising wide receiver, gets up holding his back.
Landers is that guy that they're just waiting. They're waiting for him to put it all together. I mean, you can see the length. He's 6'5". And should have made that play for him. And he's got a freshman quarterback back there, vertical route. You're a big guy, big target. You get both hands on it. You have to be able to come down with it. That's 2 drops now for Landers on potential deep balls, but you can see his ability to separate. Just got to finish when that ball is contested.
Ball got loose. Mathis recovers, and they'll whistle him down in the backfield. What's the biggest challenge for a young quarterback, an early enrollee, when they come to a program like Georgia?
Understanding the terminology. That was really a big step for me when I finally got comfortable calling it, and it became like a language. I mean, you're learning a language. And it's not quite as difficult today with the way they call offense as it was, say, 15 years ago. But understanding the terminology and what every single person's responsibility is on each individual play was a real challenge. Throwing, catching, not really all that difficult. Not all that difficult or different from high school, but just the thought process and the amount of information you have to consider every time you drop back is amplified significantly.
On Easter weekend here in Athens, Georgia, a new day has dawned in regard to the coordinators. Kirby Smart with a couple of changes. Mel Tucker, former defensive coordinator, now the head coach at the University of Colorado. Dan Lanning takes over defensive play calling duties, and as we pointed out earlier in this broadcast, as a defensive staff, it was a group effort, as it is for most staffs. Nice move on the outside by DeAndre Swift. In fact, Dan Lanning would often put together the third down packages for a given game week. So what do we know about Dan Lanning, and what can we expect?
Well, he's an aggressive guy, a guy that has learned under Kirby Smart. When you see his time spent at Alabama as a grad assistant, made a jump, went to Memphis, came to Georgia as an outside linebacker coach, had a lot of talent to work with, to say the least. To DeAndre Walker, a guy who's no longer available here in his services. The fact that I think he's an outside linebacker coach from a position standpoint, I think that lends itself to being more aggressive. You'll see sometimes defensive back coaches, especially when they have a young secondary, will play it far more conservatively. Now he has the luxury of a more veteran secondary, albeit without DeAndre Baker, to be more aggressive.
Yeah, and they've studied some of those defenses across the country that really pride themselves on making life difficult for opposing quarterbacks. They've studied Clemson. They've studied Miami. They have done everything they possibly can to learn from Michigan. Now, they haven't gone to any of those places, but they've studied those defenses because those defenses in the last few years have been very successful. I was really impressed with Dan Lanning yesterday. I didn't know him. I didn't know who he was. And frankly, when he got the job, I was surprised. Because I'm sitting here thinking, man, defensive coordinator at Georgia, that's big time. I mean, that's a big time job. And then you start to read a little more about him. Okay, great recruiter, makes sense, 33 years old, he's going to be able to relate to the players, makes a lot of sense, I get it. But then when I sat down with him yesterday, and his attention to detail, the way he involves himself in getting his team ready to play, and just the way he carried himself yesterday, I think he's a future head coach. I really believe that. Now, it might be way down the line, but I think this young man has a very bright future in the profession, and I think he's going to become a star here in the next couple of years.
Attention to detail was one thing this coaching staff and the players we talked to really focused on, and a new focus from head coach Kirby Smart, whether it's lining up properly or keeping the locker room clean. And perhaps a reason the season didn't end as they wished it would have, with the loss to Alabama and then the loss to Texas. Eric Stokes in on another tackle. Greg, you kind of felt a comp between when you were playing at Alabama, when you end with a letdown of a bowl game with, in many ways, a letdown destination that can fuel you for the next season.
Yeah, last year's team for Georgia reminded me of the Alabama team in 2008, where you have a great season. Maybe not everyone's expecting you to have that type of season, especially knowing the departures you had from the year before. Sure enough, they get to the SEC championship game, they blow a lead, and they come out flat against Texas. But man, it seems like there's a sense of urgency within the locker room. And there's a sense of accountability, too, because of the leadership that makes it feel as though this could be that year where Georgia breaks through. Because think about what happened after that 08 game for Alabama when they lost to Utah. What happened in 09? Alabama wins the national championship. So I'm telling you, I think Georgia has the right mindset, Stinch, heading into this season. The schedule sets up nicely for them.
And you experienced that. You were there on those teams. The idea that you can bounce back from a disappointing finish, that can set itself up. That sets the stage for the following season.
Right.
You know, none of this team wasn't pleased with how it turned out. It clearly didn't put in the work it was required to win that game versus Texas. And none of them were pleased with having lost the game, regardless of whether or not it was the desired destination. So you use that and fuel it throughout the offseason. You could tell, just in our short conversations with the players, coaches too, that really is fuel, potentially anyway, for that following season to have a really exemplary season.
And he's got a willing student. By the way, change at quarterback for the black team again. Stetson Bennett is back in. And Bennett lets it go through traffic and completes it on a dime to Matt Landers. And both of them flash on that play.
Great throw.
They more than flashed, they glimpsed.
I think a glimpse into what the future might look like for Matt Landers. I mean, climbing and creating that type of separation. How about the throw?
Arm strength there, huh?
By Stetson Bennett, having to move and maneuver in the pocket to find a lane and delivering a dime.
Heidi-ho, Neighborino.
You want that number on contested catches to hover somewhere around 50%, naturally, 50-50 ball. But with a guy of his size and stature, should be 70-30, really should. So he'll keep getting opportunities as the game goes along.
Bennett aiming for the end zone. Bennett stands 5'11", and he was asked about his height getting in the way. We got a flag on the play, and he said, listen, everybody's got to find windows to throw the ball. Mine just happened to be a little bit smaller.
Waving it off.
There's no foul on the play. 4th down.
Went to the bullpen for the white hat, huh?
You see Landers working outside. And I guess they said they're just fighting for this thing. Landers ends up batting it down.
That's an okay no call. That doesn't bother me. In a perfect world, I'd love to see Landers stop on the dime, track that football a little earlier,
high point it, right?
And high point it. You'd love that. And as Stetson can bring that throw down a touch too, and kind of body up the receiver.
Buse misses it wide right.
Well, you wonder why Stetson Bennett is kind of a folk hero around here, and it's throws like the one that hit on Landers downfield.
So Buse is hit from 42 and missed from 29. Stetson Bennett showing off his big arm, and a defensive score to start everything off. Little bit of everything here in Athens today. And at the break, we are tied at 10. A chance for the officials to go have an orange slice and a Capri Sun. We might do the same here in the booth.
Now, there's a couple of things that makes me think that. One, he's accurate. He's a game manager. I mean that in a good way.
Intercepted.
Sorry, I was distracted. I was trying to make sure that the line was appropriate. But I look at Kirby Smart's teams, and I just think that they're well coached. They have a challenging schedule every year, and I hated Georgia as a player.
You did. Coming from Penn State, Latavius Brini with the pads now after his pick. Well, Todd Blackledge, why did you hate?
Todd would never say that, which is why I said it, to make it clear that Todd is very much. I tell you what, and Greg and I were talking about this. I don't know how good of an official he is, but he's a phenomenal analyst. One of the best that we've got.
Little razzle-dazzle from down the sideline and incomplete. Trying to work it to Kyrus Jackson. What do you think Kirby in his voice would say about that play? Fromm stands tall and just a little bit wide. We got Marty Smith wired down on the field. Marty, what's this experience been like for you?
I have learned so much. I thought I knew a thing or two about the game of football. I'm the worst ball spotter in the history of the game. I am just this side of pathetic, trying to make sure.
Right now. You got this, you're good.
See, my boys have my back, though, guys. Okay, I'm good. I can get out of the way now. I've learned so much about the game. They have to watch so much and process so much so quickly and be accurate every time. I have an entirely new respect for what referees do.
Jake Camarda trying to punch it through, and he does. Well, give us an example. What are some of the things that you have to process at the conclusion of a play?
As the center judge, I am charged with running a lot. Oh, we're going to start. Are we starting on this 30? Yeah. So, okay.
Who did you borrow your running style from, SpongeBob?
It's a good thing that I run a lot anyway. Is this the right spot? Okay. So I'm keying on the left tackle, and then from there, Once I realized the left tackle is not holding, man, I kind of open up my peripheral vision towards the whole backfield to make sure the quarterback isn't roughed or that type of thing.
John Sater in the
and
game.
then once the ball is dead, I run in here. Up easy, boys. Here we go. And we spot the ball. And again, let me repeat, man, I'm bad at that.
Hey, as you spotted, I'm just curious, are you turning the laces a certain direction?
Yes, I am, and it's funny because I'm turning the laces one direction for one center and the other direction for the other center, and it only took me 2 quarters to figure out which was which.
Well, it's kind of odd. I mean, you're not their intern. Why can't the center put the ball where he wants it?
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's not like it's an arduous physical movement.
Here's KJ McCoy with the carry.
He looks like he could strap up right now and go ball. Oh!
From?
Am I supposed to blow that dead? I don't guess so.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Cedar in at quarterback and able to get the completion on the ad-lib. So you actually have some protection once you spot the ball. We've got Dusty mic'd up too. Dwan Mathers back in at quarterback. And Dusty's right in the thick of things, aren't you, big guy?
What's up, boys? Check this out. Action right at me. You like this, Stitch?
Hey, yeah, watch double reverse pass here, throwback, Dusty.
Going for me!
Good call. That Landers lets it go. Wide open, Dwan Mathis, and a touchdown. Molly McGrath all over it. 39 yards from Landers, back to the freshman quarterback, Mathis. And Dusty Dvorak almost ruined it. He wanted so badly to blow his whistle. He was going to whistle it dead. Great discipline.
I'm dying to throw a flag. Let me ask you guys up there. Would it be bad if I just threw a flag to throw a flag? Like I'm jonesing.
No. You can call holding on every play. You can find one.
You want to do it here? You want to get holding on a
do it here.
I just don't want to make Kirby Smart mad. You know what I mean?
Throw it now.
He's trying to get this thing. I can't. It's good though.
Somebody did.
The back judge threw
I
it
got 8
anyway.
more minutes of refereeing in my life. My umpire days are numbered. There will be yellow hanky on the ground before this 8 minutes is up, I promise.
Delay of game on the offense. That penalty is declined. The point is good.
Sean McDonough not afraid to insert himself into the broadcast. He gets flagged down. And with 8:02, how about the razzle-dazzle?
Well, you called it, G-Mac. Earlier it was Maria Taylor, and now McElroy calling plays from the booth on the double reverse throwback to Dwan Mathis.
Great form, Molly McGrath.
So one thing we see with Coach Pittman is the development of the O-line room, and I mean you could almost see the size change over the last 3 or 4 years since you've been here, Coach. What has changed about it?
Number one, size. I think we've gone bigger in that group, and the depth. I mean, we're having a hard time. Most people have struggled to get 2 O-lines out there. We're having a hard time getting them all playing time. We want all these kids to be able to play, and they get a lot of reps in practice, but this game they don't get as many. We just blitzed him. They didn't blow it up. He's fast. You better watch out. There we go.
He is fast.
Go. I don't know. That might have been a sack, Maria. Defensive guy says that was a sack.
That was
You're
clean.
a defensive guy, so you're going to go with the sack. Coach is going with the sack on that one.
Look at him.
That was clean.
They're all going to sit together. They're all looking at me like Coach Smart.
You got to tell him.
Yeah. I got to get with Steve and make sure he knows the team that's ahead gets the worst call.
Well, he's right there. I mean, you can let him know now. You know, you talked about Matt Landers a little bit when we had our meeting and how he's had a great spring. So walk us through what you meant by that.
Well, let's see what he does here. He got a chop route one-on-one. Ooh, he got a chance. Good route. Look at Marie picked it up. Oh, good. Great. So what we've seen out of Matt, he needs to be more consistent, but he's a talented guy. He's got vertical speed. He's got great leaping ability, good ball skills. He just got to be more consistent. We've finally gotten him to buy into playing on special teams and helping out. If he can do those things and still play with kind of a little bit of a swagger, it helps him.
And throw the ball every now and then.
How about
I mean,
that?
yeah, just whenever.
There's some guys that can play in this group I'm excited about. Free release, quick game, Mathis. Oh, got to go. No, we'll do that. I'm not interested in that. He's starting to flip it. Got a big third down here. So, but the defensive guys, we've tried to create more havoc this spring. I think our coaching staff.
Break down havoc again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot now because you always put the kids on the spot every time you get up and tell me what havoc is.
That's right, they can do it. The percentage of plays that we cause sacks, PBUs, interceptions, and forced fumbles. So we want to create more havoc. We're not doing as much today because we don't want to put everything out there on tape, but we're doing anything we've done last year. So our kids really enjoy rushing the passer and causing havoc. So we've done a lot more of that, and our offense sees a lot of that. So it helps them to see that stuff. We got a big third down here, third and long too. Got to get rid of it. Good step up, good throw. Flag. Please don't throw it. Please. Oh, he didn't throw it.
Down here.
Intended for Landers. What
do you got?
Staples.
Hey, Scott, can he kick a field goal? Yeah, let's decline it and kick a field goal. Hey. Field goal. Field goal. Field goal. Field goal. Field goal.
Yeah, I think it was Andy Staples that threw the flag. He just finished his bag of pork rinds just in time to throw that flag out there.
Throw the flag on pass interference. He'll also get you for a bad
There's no
brisket.
foul for pass interference on the play. It'll be fourth down.
So who threw the flag?
Andy Staples did.
You ain't got to hit it hard, kiddo.
This will be a 48-yard attempt.
Got a young field goal kicker here. We're giving an opportunity. He's got a good leg, but we'll see if he can handle this distance. This might be out of his range here. Didn't get it in there. Well, we get the other group to come out. So.
Oh, one question, Coach. We haven't seen Demetrius out here at all.
Demetrius got sick last night and had some virus and stuff like that. So we've got him with the medical staff, and he's unable to play. And I hate that because the kid's had such a good spring. He's been so competitive.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for your time again. I didn't call it out this time, but at least, you almost got a field goal.
That's right. Got to stop. A stop and a miss.
All right, we got more coming from Athens here in Sanford Stadium when we come back for the D-Day game.
He's too busy eating that whistle. He can't wait to blow that sucker.
Last quarter, there's a pass that went right by Dusty's ear. I mean, he is in the mix.
Hey, get out of there. Come on, man. Don't be diving on the pot like that. Come on, two. Come on, man. These damn teammates. Come on.
Oh, I got to tell you, the hypocrisy of a D lineman. Don't be jumping on the pile.
Don't be hitting it late.
Don't be patting those assist stats.
I had to throw it. It wasn't a hole, but I had to throw it. I had to get a taste. That was fun.
Who'd you stick with it?
No, the center. I told my nose, I said, hey, give me a hard rush. I'm going to get you a flag on this one. So he rushed hard and I gave it to him.
Oh, wow.
So it was Dusty Dvorak after all. Here's what we'll be doing post-game, getting ready for Easter weekend. Some people paint the eggs, others paint bellies. Fun one today here in the Classic City, and we move on to the final quarter.
I was wearing a flesh-toned neck pillow.
Bennett with the completion of midfield. That's Charlie Warner, the tight end, and he carries defenders for another 5. We are proud of you.
Thanks, pal. For losing weight? Or what?
I think that's quite the accomplishment.
We know you live for our validation. Look back at Matt's resume as a player. First round pick of the Raiders.
You know what takes the luster off of is when I had to propose this in the production meeting that we talk about.
I thought it was awkward that you kept pushing our producer Tom Schofield to get it into the game today. How was the dinner at the College Football Hall of Fame ceremony?
It was very filling. It was great. It was a great ceremony, and to get to be in a room full of the guys that you grew up watching, and guys that were probably among some of the best players that ever got to play the game, and you never thought that you'd probably share a room with them. So it was a blast. And the steak was phenomenal, as was the catch.
Jeremiah Holloman takes it in from 43 yards. And once again, Bennett showing off his arm as he plays with the red team now.
Tell you what, man, this guy just makes plays. I mean, he just makes throws. He gives his receivers a chance. They go up and make a play for him. He just throws a catchable ball. I mean, I've been pretty impressed with Stetson Bennett. Obviously, the high praise from some of his teammates. Kind of expected him to play well today, but he has certainly looked the part trying to lock down that backup quarterback job.
He was a scout team quarterback as Baker Mayfield in preparation for the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. And the point after was blocked.
Point attempt is blocked. Recovered by Charlie Warner.
Holloman with a 43-yard catch for the score. So we mentioned Kirby told Maria that Demetrius Robertson felt ill last night, so he's not available, but they return a trio of great receivers, and Robertson, Holloman, and Simmons. And then, as we mentioned, welcoming Matt Landers into the mix, who doesn't have a career catch yet. They lost 60% of their catches and 68% of their receiving touchdowns. Trying to replace a very talented core. Juan Matheson, quarterback for the black team. And Mathis stops and lets it go. Nearly picked by Otis Reese.
As far as that receiver core is concerned, if they're looking a little out of sync today, that's fine. I mean, really the best time to develop chemistry with your core is in the summer, when you're not limited with time and you're not really weighed down by a lot going on. You have time to work your craft, and that's when that chemistry really starts to take shape. So Jake Fromm hasn't looked his best today. I think Stetson Bennett's played extremely well, but Jake Fromm hasn't looked his best, but I wouldn't be concerned because these guys 4 months from now will have such more chemistry as a result of the reps they're about to get over the course of the summer.
How important from a leadership perspective is having a veteran like Jake Fromm to lead those practices and to know how to work on what you need to work on?
Yeah, he knows what it's supposed to look like, so it's huge to have a veteran guy. For instance, if a route's supposed to be at 10 yards, a guy runs it at 9, Jake Fromm will be able to have the experience to tell him, you better get to 10. And it's hard to do that if you haven't played. It really is. You really can't lead until you play and play well. And Jake Fromm, of course, has done a great job these last couple of years. So these receivers will be ready to go, no doubt, come fall camp.
Mathis, the Detroit product, gets flushed by Malik Herring, who came in from the edge.
He's such a great, he does a great job of anticipating throws. If he could do that better on the downfield balls, that was really the only area that he mentioned when we pressed him on where is it that Fromm can take strides.
Right. That still have a hard time kind of getting up every day for practice and studying the tape because it gets redundant. Jake Fromm is a fierce competitor, and he'll be up to play Alabama and Auburn, but you can't have those games where you don't have your best stuff because that's how games like the LSU game happen. So Jake Fromm, I think, will definitely probably work against that this year, knowing what he experienced in the LSU game a year ago.
He's thrown for over 5,300 yards in his career. He won the quarterback job, and he's seen 2 other guys transfer out. Tied for second in Georgia history with 23 career wins, but the win that they're missing is a national championship.
And narrowly missed those. You know, 2 different opportunities when you think about it.
I think he's the best player in the draft.
Dynamite drop in. Here's Stetson Bennett to let it go. Oh, what a catch!
Wow. Great throw.
Perfectly placed for Brian Harrion.
Yeah, I think Quinnen Williams, back to what we were talking about, is the best player in the draft. He's so slippery on the inside, and interior pass rusher is so difficult to defend against. Kyler Murray still comes with question marks as far as the way his game translates. But I'll tell you what, if Kyler Murray can make throws like Stetson Bennett's been making today, he'll have a heck of a long career. And quarterback-friendly system. I mean, they just think, they fall out of love with you for the most ridiculous reasons as you're making that transition sometimes. So sometimes I think you get so heavily scrutinized throughout that draft process that just, I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me. They're in the second to last week of the season. The one that I'm probably paying closest attention to, these 2 teams have never played since Texas A&M's been in the league.
Isn't that amazing? You think about it, since joining in 12, and boy, Mathis just unleashed a beautiful pass to Landers, but it was blown dead.
You guys both would have Georgia winning the East. Who would be the stiffest competition? Who could possibly get in the way in the East?
It's got to be Florida. I mean, just with what Dan Mullen did last year, really transforming Felipe Franks before our very eyes, played well down the stretch. And if he continues to improve the way Dan Mullen's quarterbacks have always kind of improved, then he has a chance to have a really nice season, but I don't think anyone's really within striking distance of Georgia in the East at this point. Florida's still a year or two away. They lost some really good pieces on the defensive side that'll be difficult to replace. I think Florida's going to be a good team, but probably not as good as they were a year ago.
I think Florida's good enough that if Georgia plays poorly, they beat them. I don't see a team in the East right now that if Georgia plays well is good enough to beat them straight up.
A&M's going to be really young. So at that point of the season, November 23rd, you just play a really physical game against Auburn. You got to be careful. You have triple option the following week. That's just a dangerous spot on the schedule to play a really capable opponent.
Nice catch by Tyler Simmons from Stetson Bennett, who's having a fantastic day. By the way, our celebrity officials are now going through the evaluation process upstairs.
I thought the defense, for the most part, I wouldn't say one particular individual. When the starters on defense were working against the starters on offense, they did what they've really focused on. They've created some havoc. They broke up a lot of passes. They made a play on the ball early in the game with Stokes' interception to the house. I mean, I was really impressed with them taking what the coaches have emphasized over the last 15 practices and applying it before our very eyes here at the spring game.
Richard LeCount coming on the safety blitz that time. It bears repeating that there will be new wrinkles offensively. There will be new pressures defensively. We didn't see a whole lot of them. And sometimes when you've been practicing against each other already for 14 days, you know what the other side's doing.
Right, and let's look at the decisions that were made from a coordinator spot. There's going to be an embellishment, maybe an elaboration of what they've previously done. That's what Kirby Smart coveted with that coordinator decision, is can we build on, tweak, maybe emphasize other elements of what we already do. This isn't going to be an overhaul of anything. James Coley already has his fingerprints all over the offense via the contributions on third downs last year. And I think that we're not going to see any distinct departures from the way Georgia has played before on either side of the ball.
Yeah, they're going to be the same group as they were a year ago. I mean, I'm not worried about receivers departing. Riley Ridley, tough to replace. Mecole's a solid slot receiver that can create with the ball in his hands. But I don't feel like either one of those two spots are impossible to replace. Offensive line, going to be better probably than they were a year ago as some of those young guys continue to grow and they figure out who's going to lock down that right guard spot. Running back's going to be as good as they were a year ago. I'm really excited about this group.
So they're going to put trips to the right, including Matt Landers.
Yep, Hail Mary to the right. You got two big, tall targets on the right side. Throw it up, see if they can make a play for you.
See if Dwan Mathis has time. He'll buy some with his scramble. Game will end on this play. Into the end zone. It is knocked down. Batted away by DJ Daniel. And it turns into a 5-point victory for the Red. Stakes coming for the first team offense.
Mathis gave his guy a shot. Landers had a shot at this thing. And another one of those balls, I think that's 3, and this one almost could have come down with it, but Daniels clearly averse to the beanie weenie meal.
It's a great
Coming
play.
up next, SEC baseball, Texas A&M taking on South Carolina. Fantastic fun afternoon here in Athens, Georgia. Thanks for putting up with us. The final score, Red 22, Black 17, as Georgia aims for its first national title since 1980. They have the summer to prepare for an opening date with Vandy. For Maria Taylor, Matt Stinchcomb, Greg McElroy, and seemingly a cast of thousands, I'm Tom Hart. Good afternoon from Athens. Now, A&M, South Carolina.